All right, so here we are at the continuation of the big brake upgrade. We went down below Hagerstown, Maryland yesterday and visited our friend that has a whole bunch of 944 parts. So he basically gets them and takes them all apart and scraps them. But 944s are starting to get to be worth something now, so less are getting scrapped. And he actually has another shop where he brings the more valuable ones back to life. So we got two of these spindles. These are 87, 88, 89 naturally aspirated 944 spindles with ABS. That's the ABS sensor. So that goes right in there like that. Now, we've got one mocked up on there. I cleaned these up and mocked it all up and then took it apart again and then put it on the car as a mock-up, and here's what we got. So there's our nice big brake calipers, 996 rotors, and this is the adapter plate here. So yes, this adapter plate does fit these spindles, so we're in good shape there. One thing you have to keep in mind when you're doing this, the kit comes with this. And what this is a hub-centric ring for the rotor. Now, if you can see that, some of these bolt holes through the rotor are not exactly there. This is a precision machined piece that goes on there that fits the inner diameter of the hole in the rotor. That keeps your rotor, 100% in the center. If you forget to put this on, you're going to get a vibration. A couple of issues with doing it this way. One is the dust shield has the original car has the original spindle, which is right here, has the ABS sensor on this side. On this one, the ABS sensor is on the front side. So that means you either have to, you actually have it poked out here. I could just drill the hole and use this dust shield. But one of the other problems is, since the ABS sensor is in front now, this air scoop that directs air into that hole in the dust shield won't fit. So the dust shield doesn't really do a whole lot. So I'm not 100% sure which way we're going to go, but looks like we're probably not going to run with those two pieces, at least for now. Probably should come up with a better, air diversion solution, especially if you're going to be if it's going to be a track car. And one other small problem, it's not really a problem, but it's something we'll talk about here. The two bolts, screws that hold the rotor on when there's no bolts on here are that they don't line up with anything on the 944 hub. So, and they don't really do anything. They just hold the rotor on there when the wheel's not on. When you have the brake pads in it, that will hold the rotor on there. So it's not like it's going to hurt your brake system or anything if you don't have those screws in there. So that's the mock-up. we'll take it apart and put it together for real now. Well, one little thing I forgot about is while we had it mocked up, we wanted to try the wheel and tire on there first, because if you recall, back when we started this, it was determined that we couldn't use our 16-inch wheels anymore because this rotor and caliper package won't fit under it. So we bought these nice 17-inch wheels. And now that we actually finally have this bolted on here, it would be kind of nice to know that the wheels actually still fit. So let's get on with that. How our brake caliper is going to like this. So let's stick that there. Move our light out of the way. That should get us there. All right. A moment of truth. Will it all go together? So far, so good. Couple of lug nuts on it. Good. That scared me for a second. I'll have to look and see what that is. But the caliper and rotor do not hit the wheel. Might be because we don't have the wheel bearing properly tightened up yet or anything, so probably something to do with that. But the wheel does fit on there. Actually, it's got plenty of room. I mean, it's not even close. So I guess that means with these wheels we could even put bigger brakes on if we want. Okay, so that noise, apparently I didn't have the lug nuts tightened up enough. Caliper has these studs, these posts in here, and actually the rotor was hitting one because it wasn't really flat up against the hub. That's it. It's nice and quiet now. Okay, now we'll take it apart and put it back together permanent-like. Okay, with the caliper and rotor out of the way, I can show you a little bit more of the intricacies of this. This here is our problem with our ABS sensor. It's on the front side rather than the back side where it is originally on this car. And if you take the little sheet metal scoopy thing that attaches with those two bolts there, it actually not just interferes with the sensor, but the whole front of the upright is a little bit different and is in the way there. Let's take a look at this other one here real quick just to see. So that's the original one. So yeah, this part here is very thin. Whereas on this one, it's very thick right there. So we could cut or bend this thing up to make it fit if we wanted to. We're not going to do that right now. We can always do that later. And we can also finish cutting that hole there. And that should line up with the ABS sensor in its new position. So these are the 3 bolts. Basically, we get the top upright bolt, which is also the camber adjustment. The bottom upright bolt, and that's what attaches the strut to the upright. And there's a through bolt that goes through the clamp for the ball joint. And the only other thing you got to do is pop the tie rod loose, pull the cotter pin out, take this nut off. I have a tie rod and ball joint popper type gadget. This is real handy because it goes in there like that, and this pushes down on the bolt after you remove the nut, and you just tighten this thing and it just pops off. Pretty simple. Once we get it on, we'll talk about the brake lines. That's something you have to get right too. All right, well, there you have it. It's on there. What we still need to do is, well, naturally, put the pads in it. And we still need to do the brake line and adjust the wheel bearing. Then we get to do the other side, and then when we're done that, we have to check the camber to see if that changed at all, because we had to undo the camber screw. Well, pull the bolts out of the bottom of the strut, so the camber adjustment is, I mean, I put it back to where it looked like it was, because it's an eccentric end on the bolt, so you can kind of see it makes a mark. So hopefully we'll be back at a ½ degree of negative camber, and then we can just bolt everything together and we'll be done. One more thing that I didn't really mention about this ring, I don't think I made it really clear, that the ring is on there on this one. This is it right here, this part in the center. It fits in the center of the rotor, and the inner part of the ring actually fits right over the hub. And if you can see this, it's got a bevel on the inside on one side. This does not have a bevel. The bevel side goes in against the hub because the edge of the hub isn't, you know, it's not a square angle. It's got a fillet, a little radius in it. So make sure you put it in with the bevel facing inward. This is the one for the other side. The one that's on here is already on here. So that's in there, and you don't need to do anything. Just stick it on. And we've got our brake pads in. I put the brake line on, I haven't undone the original brake line yet because I'm going to do them both at the same time. That way I can just quickly undo this, pull the clip out, get this up in there, and get it down and tightened with, hopefully before all the brake fluid comes out. We'll see how that goes. But this here is the banjo fitting. So the banjo is a bolt that has a hole through it and then a hole on the side. So because it has holes and it's going into an aluminum caliper, you don't want to tighten it too much because you can pretty easily break the banjo bolt because it's got two holes in it. And make sure you put your copper washers on either side. You get it tight, you know, hand tight, finger tight, and then you just give it kind of a tight snuggle to give a little crush on these washers. And it's okay if it's loose because you'll see it right away. If it's not tight enough, you'll start leaking brake fluid out of it, and then you just snug it a little bit more. Sometimes, if you're not careful, you'll get a little piece of dirt or something on the copper washer and it won't seal. And most of the time, if they're new washers, you can just take them off again, get the piece of dirt or whatever out of there, and then put them back on and they'll work fine. Well, all right, we're all done. Bolted everything on there, adjusted the wheel bearing, bled the brakes, and now we're about ready to go. We'll see how it works.